Hey everyone, welcome to Talent Alchemy. And today I'm so excited to welcome Naina Dimoska to Talent Alchemy. And Naina is currently the head of people success at Semos Cloud, where she sits right at the intersection of workforce strategy, talent intelligence, employee experience, and AI. She's a well respected voice in the HR tech space and someone who doesn't just talk about skills transformation in theory. She's been in the trenches, helping organizations actually make it real, scalable, and meaningful for both business and employees. And today we are going to dig into how skills are reshaping talent decisions, what organizations often get wrong when they start this journey, and what it really takes to build a more transparent, inclusive, and future ready workforce. Nina also hosts her own podcast, People Pulse, which is some fantastic episodes on leadership, employee experience, AI, and HR tech. I highly recommend checking it out. Nina, I'm so excited to have you here. And I know we had planned this maybe a couple of months back, and then you had your baby. I'm so glad to host you before the year end.
Thank you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Yeah, exactly. We were planning to have this a few months ago, but then a month and a half, I had my second son. But I'm very glad that we got to do this before the year ends. I'm very excited to be here with you. As you've already said, my work focuses on, how AI skills and work signals can help companies move faster, make better decisions, and build cultures that consistently perform, not by chance, but by design. And I'm very excited to have this conversation with you today here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dig in. You have been a part of many skills transformation. You have helped organizations, and I have often seen with my customers, skills initiatives often start as a data mapping exercise. They start mapping skills to job roles or skills to learning courses. But I think the real value comes when they turn into real experiences. Can you share how organization can shift from skills as a data to skills as an experience that can influence how people get feedback, grow, and maybe feel really supported?
Well, that's an amazing question. So moving from skills as data to skills as daily experience, what I would like to emphasize here that what we've seen happen is that most skills initiatives stall because they stop at representation. So, the skills get mapped, they get
Yeah.
validated,
Yeah.
they get stored, and then nothing really changes. Nothing materially changes. The change happens, at least what we've seen from experience, is when skills are treated as decision inputs, not just as some descriptors, right? And this mirrors what we're seeing today in AI research and practice more broadly. There's been this BBC Science Focus recently covered in this AI model called Centaur, which was trained on millions of real human choices from psychology experiments. And its key insight was that AI should replace people, but that AI is best at doing the homework, while people
Right.
remain
Right.
accountable for judgment, for those high level, high at stakes decisions and jobs. And that's exactly how skills should work in our companies. Systems should do the sensing. They should detect skills from real work signals. And here I mean something like recognition, like feedback, outcomes, while managers, for example, will make the call. They will make the call on coaching, on recruiting, on developmental opportunities. And then skills become lived, when they consistently influence the quality of feedback that we give and that we take, the growth opportunities, and how we get support in the flow of
Right.
work.
Right.
And we've seen this many times. You have a company that has a very strong skills taxonomy, but managers keep relying on their intuition when assigning work, when dealing with difficult projects, or just giving feedback on a performance review. So what we've done, even in our own team, we have introduced a manager agents that continuously synthesize these signals from, as I said, feedback, recognition, one-on-one meetings. And then, for example, you have a manager who prepares for a one-on-one meeting, and then they have this entire context, including skills that were emphasized, what skills were observed. And
Yeah.
then it's not like, the data change, but the decision did. It was based on data. It was evidence based. And this is
Yeah.
where the the magic happens.
Yeah, combining both data and experience. I love that. Manager agents, that sounds really intriguing. That's great. So also I have often seen, many companies jump straight into the technology aspect of it, without defining the human story.
So
So what do you think organizations should truly begin when they want a human-centered skill strategy? Because, it's really the skills-based organization model is really for the humans, the employees.
that's a very good viewpoint, and I'm very happy that you mentioned it because I think that at the core of it is that they should begin by defining what's the human problem, not the system. Because there's so many HR platforms, tools that technically work, but nothing feels easier, better. And that's not a failure in the technology itself, but it's evaluation failure because technology is chosen without us first asking what do we want to solve? What problem do we want to solve? What friction do we want to remove? What decisions should become easier? Because I think that a human centered skills strategy needs to start by mapping how work actually gets done today and even anticipate tomorrow, right? Looking ahead in the future, where
Mhm.
judgment breaks down, where do we have our managers struggling, where can we unload their cognitive load, and only then we can define the skills as some observable behaviors that we can
Yeah.
tie to results, we can tie to outcomes, and
Yeah.
then design the technology to support them. So
Yeah.
that's where I would start.
Yeah, by mapping the real life problems with the real
Absolutely.
personas, like you said, the managers, the
Absolutely.
employees. Yeah, yeah, I
Absolutely.
think that's a
Absolutely.
great insight. And, you know, again, I've been working with some of our global customers in success factors to help them to be a skills-based organization. And oftentimes I've seen the skills strategy touches talent, learning, career, or even business operations. So, and all of these teams have different point of view about what is a true skills based organization or how skills can be utilized. So, and those point of views are often diverse, right? So what have you seen that has worked well when you want to bring the stakeholders together so the strategy can live beyond HR and at the same time it's more aligned?
Again, a very good point because it has to live beyond HR because this is not an HR thing. It's something that's important for literally every stakeholder that you mentioned. So I would say that it will scale when they're treated as part of the operating model, right? So it's not an HR initiative, but literally how the company works. And I think that leadership influence is one of the biggest drivers of business performance. A fun fact, and which is very like a paradox, is that still many companies, choose to chase targets instead of just building the conditions that consistently produce results. Because what
Mhm.
we've seen is that a high performance culture doesn't emerge from a taxonomy or a slogan or your vision board, but they're established when leaders repeatedly, that's very important, reinforce the right behaviors over time in the right time. And what works in practice is this shared visibility across stakeholders into those skill signals and also a shared accountability, right, on how to act on them. And then you
Mhm.
can have stakeholders from the business, from HR, from talent, from
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
They need to see the same evidence and they need to pull the same levers.
Mm.
Otherwise, skills will be just a debate, not a mechanism on how to sustain and have this high performance organization.
Got it. Got it. Yeah. No, I think that's again another great insight. If my audience, my customers are listening, I would definitely suggest you ponder on that viewpoint that you shared. How do organization can sustain the momentum once the skill strategy is launched to prevent it becoming another static HR initiatives? Because we see it every day. There are so many initiatives launched by different teams, but oftentimes some of them become stale. So, what organization can do to keep employees connected to the bigger picture of growth and career development?
So, there are a lot of strategies and pathways that can be chosen. And I very much agree that, momentum can be very easily lost unless you do some
Yeah.
intentional efforts on how to sustain the momentum and keep employees connected to growth and purpose. And what I've seen happening is that momentum is lost when you treat skills as static asset, you know? So it's not static. It's not something that stays, but it's evolving. And I think that the pace of change that we're experiencing in business now makes this unsustainable. So as AI and technology increasingly run even our core workflows now, the human value moves toward judgment, toward prioritization and orchestration. There was this very interesting McKinsey article, I think that said that up to 30% of work will be automated by 2030. There's the Gartner big data that expects managers to lead both humans and AI within just the next 2 years. That's so soon. And then still, there are very few companies that have redesigned their skills, their governors,
Yeah.
their rewards on, or
Yeah.
even leadership expectations to reflect this very, very big change. And when AI takes on this execution, the culture in the company will become our control system.
Yeah.
So I think that what we should focus on to sustain this momentum is
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah.
And purpose is sustained not through a policy, not through a rule, but through a consistent reinforcement of what we want to see, you know,
Yeah.
either through our recognition, feedback, rewards, and so on.
Yeah, and I think the purpose can also be achieved by providing those transparency. And I'll talk about talent intelligence of our career and talent growth, talent development solution, which is what we recommend for skills-based organization. A lot of employees leave the organization because they don't know that there is a career they can grow into. There is no transparency. They don't see
Absolutely.
like a career growth path. So I think that's something we are changing with Talent Intelligence Hub. Internal mobility is one of the key aspects that gives employee purpose to tune into the solution because they have something to look forward to. And I was reading another, again, this is a McKinsey article that a lot of time employees will prefer to stay in the organization if they are given a career, not just a job, but if they have the right growth path. And at Semos Cloud, you all been working towards a lot of innovations. Is there any stories to share or regarding this aspect?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially I would say, you know, working with millennials or Gen Zs, what you said about career paths and purpose, that
Yeah,
resonates a lot
yeah,
because they care more about purpose, impact, and their long-term journey than anybody else. And if you think about it, that's the generation that will predominate the workforce in the future. This is also where we should think about when doing our HR long-term strategy, right? And I couldn't agree more that I've seen so many people leaving their companies because they feel trapped. They don't feel that there's room for them to grow. And with the skills pathways, you can really give them an example and like a real scenario on how they can grow and how they can move inside the company. You can also help people realize what their strengths are, where they can work better. So I think there are so many use cases that managers can build upon, depending very much on their team and where they want to grow them and what they want to emphasize. Like, for example, if your imminent strategy is focused on, let's say, building upon the technology skills of your team, now it's easier than ever on how to
right,
help them grow and how to give
right,
them opportunities that were never available to them
right,
before.
right.
So
Yeah,
I think it's very exciting time for managers, for
yeah,
HR to really
yeah,
give meaningful pathways to their employees. And I'm very happy that we're having these discussions because
yeah.
previously it wasn't easy to do it at scale. It was easy and doable for small organizations, but at scale it was very complex. But now with all this technology at hand, it's really really possible.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you mentioned about Gen Z, Nena. I actually recently recorded an episode with Lily. She is head of our influencer strategy here in Success
Mm,
Factor, the product marketing team. That episode is live. So we talked about Gen Z inclusion and internal mobility, what matters to them. And she did mention that for Gen Z, internal mobility is actually a retention strategy for customers. If you give them the right career path, they won't move around so much. One of the reason they hop jobs so much because they're looking for that career, not just a job. I think people from my
exactly.
generation, we are more comfortable. We don't take risk, but that's not the same for this new
Absolutely.
generation which has grown up with technology. I've seen your People Pulse episodes. You talk a lot
Thank
about
you.
AI.
Yeah,
So
we do.
shifting a
AI
gear towards
obsessed.
AI. So with Success Factor, also we are moving toward a more AI-driven agentic experience. At Success Connect, we talked a lot about our new agents coming up, and so do you think agents are the direction to move? Are they going to bring true value to this whole talent landscape?
Absolutely, absolutely, yes. But we have to be honest about what is changing and what are they doing, right?
Right.
In my opinion, AI no longer just supports work. In many cases, it executes it, right? And this gives a very difficult choice for HR leaders. You can be this supportive function, or you can become the architect of accountability. In agentic companies, it's judgment, not activity, that becomes scarce
Interesting.
capability. And the lesson from models like Centra that I mentioned earlier is applicable here too. AI or technology should surface evidence, it should surface options, but it's people who have to keep making the decisions. So I think it's very important that what you have on mind, that technology provides a trusted backbone, right?
Right.
For the data and for everything that you have to do a lot of listening on what happens in the organization, and people cannot do it by themselves. You need technology to do that. And that's what we at Semos Cloud do. We activate that intelligence by translating these work signals into experiences, timely recognition, targeted learning, objective feedback given on time, growth conversations that are embedded in the daily workflows. And then you have this new company where personalization, it's not analytics, it's not
Right.
dashboard, but
Yeah.
it's timing,
Okay.
relevance, and
Yeah.
it's shared purpose.
Yeah. No, I think those are some great use cases where agents could be used. Do you have any suggestion for any guardrails or design principles that customers should be aware of or adopt?
Yeah, of course. I mean, guardrails matter: transparency, fairness, human override, but so does clarity on decision rights and governance before the agents would go autonomous. I think that we can do
Yeah.
an entire episode
I
just
know.
on
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
very big topic.
Big topic. Yeah.
It's a big topic.
Yeah. And you have tons of experience. You talk a lot about AI leadership in your podcast too. More from a future vision perspective, what do you believe is in the next 2 to 3 years? Do you think there will be a lot of companies already skills based organization?
Few
Yeah.
years seems like a very long time, given the rapid change, to make very big assumptions. But like, let's say for the next year, I think the skills data will become commoditized. I think that everybody they will have to have these taxonomies. So if they don't have them, the sooner they do it, the better.
Better. Yeah.
And I think that what will truly differentiate companies is how work feels, the clarity that their people have, the quality of decisions that are being made about their career, about people performance, about people rewards, and whether the effort turns into progress and it turns into something that employees can see while doing meaningful work. And I think that the companies who will be successful in the future and those that will win, they won't just adopt technology, they won't just adopt AI, but they will truly redesign how work is done, how we operate, making the decision rights visible, rewarding judgment, rewarding orchestration, and literally embedding skills into everyday leadership behaviors. So if you think about that kind of company, manager agents or technology won't be just some experiment, but it will be essential infrastructure so we can function. But then again, as much as I love technology and as much as we love speaking about it, we have to understand that the bigger change is human. And I
Human.
think that the future of work is not about replacing people. It's not about also optimizing HR for a human dominated business model. But I think it's about creating environments where AI does the heavy lifting
Yeah.
for us, but it's
Yeah.
people who own the call. And
Yeah.
culture is the
Yeah.
control system of this new organization. And I think that when that happens, work will become much more profound because people can finally focus on that high value project, on bigger purpose, and of course, impact of what they're
Impact.
doing.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I always say AI is not the super villain, it's your sidekick. So you need it by your side. Those were some valuable insights, Naina. What's your holiday plans? I mean, you have a young baby. Are there any fun holiday activities scheduled, or you are mostly staying home?
Probably mostly staying home with a toddler and a small baby, potentially planning a short trip to the mountains. But just
Lovely.
what about yourself?
Mostly staying home. We are not going out anywhere, but we have a dinner planned. Our friends and family are joining us. And then I have two girls. They're both looking forward to catch the new Avatar movie. That's
Of
our big plan.
course.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter where you are, but it's just about those moments that matter and
Yes.
who do you share them with. So I hope that you have a
100%.
relaxed and wonderful time spent with your close ones and family.
I wish you happy holidays too, Nina, and thanks for joining me. And thanks everyone for tuning in. You good day or good night. Thank you.
It was great being here. Thank you. Bye.